Hi everyone, my name is Ayan Ahmed and welcome to the final installation of RedDrop's Empower Her sessions. If you've been with us, then you know that the Empower Her sessions have been a 4-part series where we speak with a variety of professionals and experts on the first period experience. So on this journey, we started by speaking with licensed therapist Erica Strayhorn to understand the emotional side of a period, right? What is PMS? Why do girls have it? What are girls feeling at this time of their lives? From there, we shifted to speaking with Dr. Cassandra Donnelly, where she took us back to health class to understand the biology and physiology of a period and the female reproductive system. And then in the most recent session, we spoke with school counselor Cassandra Horton to understand what are girls going through socially, right? What is the school environment like? And how can we create a network of support for her there? We had a really incredible conversation too around what girls feel at this time and through puberty. And so as I said, we're at our final installation today. So today we wanted to actually turn the cameras to us and share our story and share why these conversations are so core and critical to us at RedDrop, but to also share why this work comes from a place of passion. And so I am honored to introduce you to two of our co-founders, two of the ladies behind the RedDrop brand, Monica Williams and Dana Roberts. Hey y'all, how are you two doing today?
Hey, Aya.
Hey.
Hi. So thank you so much for taking the guest seat today. I am really excited to share your story. When I joined the RedDrop brand, hearing what brought you to create RedDrop is incredibly inspiring. And I think everyone who's joined in today is gonna love to hear your stories and hear the passion that really comes forth in everything that you do. So I'd love to start by having you tell us a bit about yourselves.
Okay, you go. Yeah.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Dana, one of the co-founders of RedDrop. I am an ATLian to my heart, and I am a mother of 3 beautiful children, 2 daughters and 1 son. A proud graduate of Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. FAMU, what's up? And I am a teacher at heart, but right now I serve as a school administrator, as a director of operations for a local charter company here in Atlanta. So, yeah.
Well, my name is Monica Williams. I am not a proud ATLian, but I've lived in Atlanta for 13 years. And I'm a graduate of Howard University and Meharry Medical College. And I am a physician by training, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And you'll hear later how my first company is kind of how this discussion of RedDrop started. And second company was a hair business, and third, of course, is RedDrop. And I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so I would love to hear the RedDrop story. Why did you guys start RedDrop?
Well, RedDrop was really born organically. It was, like I said, I was a teacher, and, as we've talked about in this series, having, girls in your classroom, it just happens. And so I taught for a couple of years in Rockdale and had, 1 or 2 girls start with me. But then I was afforded an opportunity to teach in a single gender environment where I had multiple girls in one classroom at one time. And more than half of those girls started their cycle with me in 1 year. Yeah. And it was really a wake-up call for me, and really just like, wow, like this is really happening. And some of the girls were extremely prepared and some of the girls weren't, and most of the parents were at absolute mess. And the crazy part about it was that my daughter was actually in that class It's crazy. But I made a pact to myself then that I didn't want my two daughters to have a negative or traumatic experience. And so that along with my girls, and then realizing that I could change the scope of how this happens for a girl,
Mhm.
and just really fed into my passion for this project. So I created, well, the first one was called First Purse.
Mhm.
Sweet, sweet, unique, discreet. And that was it. That was it. And so, you know, the girls knew where to come, you know, in my desk to get supplies. And then for those special times when a girl started her cycle with me, she had something extremely special from me to help usher her through the experience. And so ever since then, you know, I've been trying to do that work. And then, well, Monica and I are related. You know, we're family friends. And Monica, you want to transition to how you came?
So, yeah, all right. So this is where it kind of mixes
Yeah.
in with the entrepreneur thing. So at the time, I was doing something called Passmals, and I was really passionate about it. It was this pacifier that I invented, and it was doing really well. And Dana was one of the people I asked to come over and help me. This is at the beginning, help me pack goods. And so we're putting these packages together, and she comes up to me. She's like, "I want to make pads, little packages of pads for little girls." And I had a daughter, so part of how the Passmol started was because of my kid. And so she was like 1 at the time. I think she was 1.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, pads, she ain't never had a period. That's stupid. So, so whatever. She needed to help me pack these pacifiers, right? So that was like, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, sure. Then fast forward 10-ish years, and I swear I woke up one day, and my daughter's name is Mackenzie. I looked up and she had like little kitty titties, and I was like, oh man, she is gonna have a period. So I called Dana, and of course she didn't answer her phone because she don't answer her phone most of the time. Anyway, and I was like, hey, we need to really think about these pads. And so we started the first concept, like you said, was we buy pads and put them in a bag and find a way to distribute them. But then we really dove into it and found that there is such a need for pads that are made for girls. And that's, I think that was the real birth of RedDrop. And that's part of, I think, what makes us special are the features. But at the heart of it really, and this, I think you're seeing this, is Dana, because she feels this. I mean, this is her, like the little girls and all the trauma, or I shouldn't say trauma, but the range of emotions and experiences.
You know, I think, and so this is a testament I would tell anybody that has an idea, who really believes in something, you know. And I think actually your husband, my God brother, you know, he said something to me. He was like, you don't want your dream to die with you. Like, there are so many, you know, dreams that are, if you want to see dreamers, go to the cemetery. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this dream could really die with me. And I knew I was making an impact with the individual girls that I was touching every day, because I was still in the work. I'm still in education. I mean, literally before we left for COVID, I mean, I had 2 or 3 girls start their cycle with me in a month, at my current, in my current position. And so I knew I would still make a, you know, an impact to girls, and not to diminish the one-on-one impact. But it was really, I mean, like, I really want to make a generational impact, like for girls for it to be changed for generations, you know. And so that is why I'm grateful to Monica. And I knew that Monica had a different skill set that I just didn't have, you know. And so I'm not saying that my dream would have died, but it would have been on a much, much smaller scale, and we wouldn't have evolved it into really catering to girls, to their body types, to absorbency, thinking through the whole scope of how it can really impact girls who they are at that moment.
Yeah.
So,
And you
yeah.
see this skill set, like all of this feeling. I don't have that. That's just not me.
Oh.
Well, I think you two are like a dynamic duo in a lot of ways, right? Like the educator, the doctor, the heart, the head. Like, and I think that's why you guys pair so well in that sense, right? Like, and I think what you've been able to create with RedDrop isn't only, it's timely, but it's also timeless, right, Dana? Like you said, like this is things that girls are always going through, and not only going through on a day-to-day around the world, but also like cyclically, you know, like you said, it's generational. And like, and so what I really admire about RedDrop and the way that you've brought this business to life is by acknowledging not just like she needs a pad that fits her size, which like honestly I didn't even know existed. And if you even go on the aisles today, there's maybe like 1-2 products that actually fit that. But then also thinking about what is that larger impact that we can make, right? As like 2 Black women business owners, and I commend that. But that's, like I said, it's not an easy feat. So okay, so you guys came together, had the idea, joined forces, then what? Tell us about RedDrop and how it ended up coming into life.
So there's one more of us. It's not sitting here with us. And so the thing about trying to create a business is like, it takes heart. It does take some business stuff, but then we also there's other pieces. And so a mutual friend of ours joined us, Mike Davis, and you'll see him and another one of our partners, Trey, in another installation, because they do a lot of other of the pieces that really make this impactful. So for Mike, he's a dad, but he's also really well connected in schools. And if you think about it, we've calculated probably about 75% of girls start their period in school.
Right.
And so one of the ways that we impact girls is we are introducing our pads in a package that is complete for school. So if you have this incident at school, then RedDrop is the brand that's best for girls.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we talked last week that, you know, the probability of a girl starting their period at school is, I mean, literally, I mean, it happened to a whole class, basically a whole class for me. And so just thinking through what a girl would need on the spot, and helping the school nurse, the counselor, the teacher, the administrator, with kind of some real verbiage and emotional support for them as well, to help them, the coach, right? To ensure that the girl will have a positive experience, has really morphed into who we are. It's not just the purse anymore. Like the purse solved the actual kind of problem, right? The immediate problem, but RedDrop has evolved into really
More than a pad.
More than a pad. Yes. That's part of RedDrop's. That was, I mean, I love More Than a Pad. That was one.
That was our first company name.
That was our first company name, More Than a Pad. I think it's hot.
Actually,
like
Blossom. Wait, Blossoms was first.
I hated Blossoms. Blossom just pissed me off. Like every single time she said.
On the
oh,
internet.
Sorry, but M-Tap is hot. Like if we can bring M-Tap back in some kind of campaign, I would love it. But yeah, so I don't know, you threw me off, but I just
sorry.
I mean, so it has, I mean, the school part of it has really turned into a huge
channel for us.
Yeah, channel for us, because we recognize that that's where a girl spends at least like 6 to 8, maybe even 9 hours of her day.
8, 9 months a year?
8, 9 months a year.
75% of her life happens at school. So schools are hugely important, and that is part of how Mike came to be. And then Ion, you and Trey joined because the brand is so important. And so like More Than a Pad became something different, and just really becoming a full piece of a girl's life, and then beyond that, a woman's life.
Right. Yeah.
I love more than pad, because it's true. What you offer is like what we offer as RedDrop is a pad. And I think, and I'd love for you to like talk more about that and like the first period kit, because it's like what I wish I had at that time. Like I remember getting my period at school and having to use like this oversized thing, right? Like waddling like a duck. And then like just having to roam the aisles and figure out what works. And but then also this other piece too of like, there's a real part around building community that's core to RedDrop as well. Could you guys tell us a little bit more about those two?
The community is really just like what we were talking about. I mean, you have a school community, right? You have all of those particular stakeholders in the school community that could touch and impact your daughter or the special girl in your life right then. Your teacher, your counselor, your school nurse, your coach, your administrator. And then you have another part of the community. I mean, we talked a little bit about last week, our family dynamics, you know, look different, you know, so girls are with their dads more, you know, you have blended families, you have co-parenting scenarios, and so that's a part of a different part of community. Of course you have moms, right, and then you have your daughters, you have girls, and I think when we talked about, it's funny when we talked about more than a pad, because really what was happening and what I've seen happen even in a school is where a nurse just gives a pad and says, oh, you started your cycle, here's your pad. Mm-hmm. And we just knew we wanted to be way more than that. And we knew that in order to do it right, mm-hmm. you had to be more than that, because you can't equate a girl to a pad. And that's when you give a girl a pad and just send her on, that's what you're doing. You're equating that whole experience, her, into that. And so I just think that once we realized that it was more than a pad, and we both knew that, that's why, you know, we work so well in this, our sense of community opened up, because now we realize, okay, if we got to touch them and touch them and touch them to educate, empower everybody. It's not really just empowerment for the girls, it's really empowerment for everybody, to empower themselves in the journey, then empower your girl in the journey, so she'll be cool, she'll be good.
True.
Yeah.
I'd say that the community piece that we're not excited about each one of them, but we're super excited about the dad's piece. I want to reintroduce Mike, our third co-founder, and Trey, mm-hmm. because to Dana's point, fatherhood has changed so much over the last 2 generations. And so if you go from a dad dropping a pregnant woman off and she go having the baby and him picking her up, to now dads wouldn't dream of missing the birth of their child. And so it's a different relationship between daughters and dads than it was kind of when, I would say, when we were growing up and when pads were first introduced, like to your point, Ion, what you were talking about, you give you this big pad. They still make those. Those are still what you find in schools, and the cardboard boxes and like mattresses. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's a shame that it hasn't evolved, nor has the way we communicated it generally evolved. And that's one of our biggest goals. Mm-hmm. And just because dad and daughters have such strong relationships, regardless of physically how they live, if mom and dad are separated, or if it's a step, like there's just really solid relationships. And we are trying to be intentional about helping people have those conversations, so that periods don't become the start of like sexualization and then a weirdness between daughters and dads. It should just be as natural as any other.
The tooth fairy and all that.
Yeah.
It should be. No, I really, no, it should be as natural as I can have that conversation.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
That tooth fairy threw me off.
Bad, my bad.
No, but I feel it, because so much of what RedDrop's doing is like by giving knowledge, it's like breaking the stigmas, creating new habits or patterns or just ways to talk about this, you know? And I think that's what resonates the most with everybody, is they feel that intentionality in the work that we do. So you guys are both stores of knowledge, and we've gotten a chance to talk to a bunch of these experts. What are like the key messages that you wish people knew about the first period experience, or just periods in general? Like, what would be your key takeaways from everything, or like the messages or bits of knowledge that resonated the most with you two?
Well, I'll go first on this one because I have my favorite,
my
favorite model here.
This is where we bring out the doctor. There's a doctor in the house.
You know what's hilarious is most people don't even know what that is, so go for it.
Right. So part of what
No, because I
don't want you to cover up your face. I got it. I
Okay.
can do it. All right. So part of what I loved about this series was when Cassandra got into the medicine of it. And so we tried to make it like going back to middle school health class. I feel like we still got a little too technical, but I still think it's so important. And I'm really not going to do this. I just like, this is my thing. But what really I'd say that resonated with me, because with my child, literally this showed up at my house and she was like, well, I will bring them out. She was like, what's this? What's this? And I'm kind of like, well, how do you not know that? And it was shocking to me that health class in school, I guess doesn't go, I feel like it went deeper, but I'm 47, so I don't know, maybe it didn't. But from the basis of like what this is, even how to clean yourself. So I struggle with my child with hygiene. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but like with this, I was able to show her like, this is how you clean yourself without having to get in the shower with her, which totally creeped me out. So from a resonating perspective, I loved how you could tie the medicine into what I could share with my child that I might assume that she knew, but she didn't know. And so that for me was I thought really great.
I think, and for this part, I think I gained, like, you know what, we talk about health class, right? And then we really don't have another real conversation medically until we start having about to have a baby, or start having some type of issues, you know, gynecological issues, and you miss a huge opportunity, that window in between, to really learn about your body, why your body acts this way or does this. And so yeah, that was key. I want to say, I think another key point we want all of our stakeholders to really know, like moms, like, you know, if your experience was either good or bad, you have a responsibility to ensure a positive experience for your daughter. And so, you know, we use the word trauma, you know, Cassandra Horton last week talked about trauma, and we think about trauma like a car accident, or you breaking your arm, etc. But trauma, emotional trauma, is very real. And we have a responsibility not to pass down trauma. And if you did have a negative experience, what we're challenging you to do is to flip that and make it a positive experience for your daughter. And so that was one of the key takeaways from this whole series that I wanted to really drive home, is that you don't have to pass down generational trauma, and you are responsible for changing the narrative. I think also for moms and dads, empowering your daughter with information, not letting her hear about a period the first time from a teacher, or
starting the conversation at home.
Yeah, starting the conversation at home.
Something else that happened, and you weren't on we did a prep call with Ms. Horton. You were on it with me, Ion, and something I thought was so powerful that she said, and it wasn't shared. It's one of those nuggets I hated. We talked about trauma, and she talked about it a little bit with, like, when you break your arm, you think of that as trauma. And then I think she did such a beautiful job of describing emotional trauma. And she said, you know, you can remember when that girl said X to you, because it hurt you, right? You know exactly where you were, what she had on, what you had on, and this lasts for years. As opposed to, you know, you break your nose, and it may hurt a little bit when it rains, but that emotional trauma stays with you. And one of the things that we're trying to do as well is some little girls have really traumatic experiences when they have their first period, or have periods beyond their first period, because they aren't prepared, they make stains, or something happens. It can be really embarrassing, and that can cause the same kind of trauma as what that little girl might have said. And so for us, that's for me why this is such important work, because I think that if we really do a good job, that we can not just empower girls, but we can change the trajectory of them.
Yeah.
You can be beaten down emotionally and just like not be able to get out of that funk and that place.
I mean, we see that with everything. I mean, but because we're talking about this, I mean, in education, I mean, I would say one of the top 3 problems is trauma, you know, from different facets of a child's life. I would say that I actually just had a conversation. I haven't shared this, but I just had a conversation with where I work, and we made a decision metro-wide that all of our uniform bottoms will be blue now. And we made that decision because we thought about a girl, and because we were doing khakis, and we're just like, you know, what if a girl starts her cycle? Just imagine the traumatic experience of staining her pants. And so we collectively all decided we're going navy blue, just to see if that will help mitigate at least that part of an embarrassing situation. And so I appreciate working for somewhere like that, who would even, you know, a company or, you know, organization that would even think that far. And so, yeah, we really underestimate the amount of trauma. And so we've been saying, you know, you really have to take ownership and responsibility for ensuring that your daughters, the girls in your life, and it's not just your daughters, your nieces, your goddaughters, any girl that you love. I mean, while we know that moms and dads take the lead on the conversation, but I mean, there are some very involved big sisters and aunties and godmothers who also really, you know, drive conversations to help empower.
It's a good time to thank Ion as well.
Yeah.
For being that big sister voice. That's something I hadn't thought of until we started this process, how girls in general look up to whether it's their biological big sister or just the big sister in their life.
Yeah.
And I think that you are so good at helping me kind of put that language and that perspective in play, and how important it is. So we thank you, Ion.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you. I mean, similar to you, I think I just, and it's the reason why I really care about RedDrop, because it's everyone taking their experience and saying this was hard for me, and deciding I want to do different moving forward. I want to change the paradigm. I want to change the structure. And what's powerful is working on a business that actually is trying to do that, right? Because it's so much more than what one person can do alone. Right. And I want to jump on that, but I did want to share some of my favorite tidbits. So one I learned from Monica and Dr. Cassandra Donnelly are 2 things. So when a young girl starts breastfeeding, I think you call them kitty titties. Monica.
Did I see that on the internet?
You did.
But when a young girl starts breastfeeding, there's about a 2-year window before she starts getting her period, which I definitely didn't know, but was accurate going back. And then the other thing is, before you have your period, you start discharging. So that's another sign. And what's really great about RedDrop is our everyday pads are actually perfect for that discharge phase before you go in, which a lot of young girls, you know, like, again, you don't know what your body's doing, right? And no one tells you about the discharge before the period. So those 2 were cool. The other that I enjoyed with Cassandra Horton was, you know, she's a phenomenal school counselor. And when we were speaking with her, we said, you know, we wish every student had a school counselor like you. And you know, when we asked kind of what makes her different, she really just said, kids can tell when you listen. Kids can tell.
So when you care.
Yeah, kids can tell if you care.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're present and if you're listening to them. And so I think the big message for so many parents who want to do this well is it's not about being perfect, it's about being present, right? And just saying you're gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. It's a process and we're all in this together figuring it out, right? So those were two like that I'm definitely taking away. So I actually wanted to talk more about our pads, about our first period kits, and exactly how we're going about helping young girls and giving them something that they need that I don't think any of us have had before. Monica, can you tell us a little bit more about our first period kits and our business?
Sure. So we have products that are made for girls at home. Our starter kit is really made to have in advance of when you start your first period. So it has everyday pads, which are the pads that you mentioned, Ion, which are great for once your child starts having discharge. Wear one every day and you won't have any sort of accident. It's thin. We talk to a lot of little girls and moms, and they're worried about seeing something under their leggings. It's super absorbent because they have PE every day. I'm sorry, it's super absorbent because they only have 2 bathroom breaks a day, and they're super sticky because they have PE still. And it has odor protection without a scent, because scent can often irritate little girls.
Right.
So you have little boys, and if something smells amiss, they'll notice that. So it covers all of the range of features that a girl needs. And we have daytime pads, nighttime pads. Everything you need is in there, along with our Code Red kit, which is made to drop in your bag so that if something happens at school, you're prepared. Put a new pair of panties in there as well. We have wipes. And so literally it covers everything. You don't have to go to CVS or Walgreens or Target and try and figure out from 30 feet of aisle what you need. And then we also have our Girl Power kits, which are really specific for schools. And in there are 3 pads, one for right at the time of the incident. And we have wipes so you can clean up, because when I was a kid, all you had were paper towels in the sink, which is kind of yucky.
Right.
So it helps you get cleaned up at school, has something for you for school, another one for later if you need it, and one for when you get home to give mom a little bit of a break. And so that's really designed thoughtfully for schools as well.
That experience right then. And not just for your first experience, you know, if a girl comes down and needs, you know, some products that it'll be there for them.
And we also, to Trey's point in the notes, we also provide undergarments for schools. They are colored, so they don't, the stains don't show.
Right.
So that truthfully for schools, it's soup to nuts. And then for home, it's soup to nuts as well. And it shows up at your door. So so dad or brother doesn't have to have a weird experience at the store going to pick it up. And mom, you know, I know that my child never tells me she needs anything until like 10 o'clock the day before she needs it.
Right.
So I'm not left to run out to the CVS at midnight, which is not even a possibility right now because everything closes at 9. So everything shows up at your door every month. And so it's just designed to be really thoughtful and easy.
Yeah. And I would say, as a school administrator, I'm especially excited about the underwear, the panties, because you know, you can, I mean, what we've seen, you know, what I've seen as an educator is that your daughter might have a pad. She really might. But once she has an accident, she needs a change of clothes. Like she needs a new set of undergarments. And so I really am happy that we included that in the model, because I just think it really takes a load off of a girl emotionally, and honestly a school nurse or a counselor to be a relief. Like, here, I can give you this, and then, you know, you can hopefully go on with the rest of your day. Yeah. So I'm happy about that.
And what I love too, it's like the same thing for dads. Like, dads often feel like they don't know how to be a part of the like they don't know how to get in, and what's really or it's just kind of like, whoa, it's scary. And I think dads care, but they're little in like, how do I get in? And what's like great, especially in that circumstance, it's like the kit is a way into the conversation. It's a way to support your daughter and say, I'm here for you, you know?
Yeah, and
That's
I'm
so
sorry.
well said, Ion.
Yeah, it is. I think the ideal situation
Mm-hmm.
is for you. Let's talk about ideal. Ideal is for you to order and have the first period kit when you start to see it. Or even, I mean,
Start
if
to see
she's
discharge.
10, she's 11, you know it's coming, it's not gonna not come,
Mhm.
order it, have it. And open it up. There's going to be plenty of information in there. There's going to be it's going to point you to our community so you can start having those conversations and she's prepared. That's the ideal situation. And then you can, of course, re-up, right? And that's really what you really want.
Well said. And show, and while one of the things, show her how to put the pads in before she needs to. That's what thing I got from her. She said that even girls who their parents have shown them at home, they still freak out a little bit the first time if it happens at school. So practice. It's just like everything else. You need to practice. So take your time to practice. And we have pads in there to do that.
It's an emotional, girls freak out, so it's like, and even the girls who are the most prepared, it's just like, it's finally here. So there's kind of like this emotional whatever. And like Ms. Horton said last week, we've been, we've had the experience where we've had to stand outside the door and be like, okay, now open the pad, now remove the strip, and if a girl hasn't even seen a pad, she really doesn't know what to do.
Absolutely. Good point.
So, this is where I get my teacher voice. I'm like, we spend money on a lot of different things, to order, some everyday pads from us and literally just practice is nothing in comparison to possibly your daughter having a traumatic experience. Like, it just doesn't, the money doesn't even equate, right?
That's so well said.
Yeah.
So,
But like what's amazing though is on the other side, if she has a really incredible experience, it's an opportunity for her to learn and own her body. And that like I think the biggest aha that I've had is like your first period is only the first of many transitions a woman goes through in her life. And if we can get this first one right, and really have her feel confident through the discomfort or the unknown, right? And build a community of people, fathers, mothers, school teachers, even just society. Like, if we can do this right, then it allows every transition in her life to be that way. And it also creates like generational change.
Oh yeah. It creates like a sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
I will say, I know my daughters are on here and they probably don't want me to mention them, but I will say that they didn't have a traumatic experience, just because of what happened, just because of my different experiences. And I feel like they are way more empowered than I ever was. At a middle school age or a high school age, or my oldest is in college, and just who she is as a person, her just who both of them are, honestly, it's just like, I never was that self-assured. And I'm not going to say it was all that, but I do know that not having a damaging psychological experience in front of their peers definitely helped.
Absolutely.
I think that's a lovely transition, because one question that we've been asking everyone in this series at the end of it has been to think about your first period experience and think about one thing that you'd like to change. And Dana, you mentioned this. So I'd love to turn around the question to you too. What was your first period experience like, either your own or with your daughter? And what is one thing that you want to change or that you did change? And everyone else who's listening, we'd actually would love to open this up. So if you want to take this second, feel free to think about what your response is to.
I'll go. I think, even my personal my personal experience wasn't a negative one.
Mhm.
And I feel like my daughter's experiences weren't negative. And so the one thing I would like to change is basically why I'm here, is that I want to ensure that girls for generations have this, are afforded the same opportunity to have a positive experience. Because I think I'm a testament, my daughters are a testament. I think your daughter is a testament, and she's going to talk about that. If you don't shy away from it, then it works.
Mhm.
I'd say my daughter's experience was probably positive, but it was honestly just because of this process. And so, like, we kind of started out talking about, she was about 10-ish when we started working together on this. And I would say that prior to that, I was completely freaked out. Now I'm a physician. We have had
So ridiculous.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. And so the thought of having a conversation, I mean, it made me queasy. But but talking to Dana and working through, I mean, this has been a long journey. I will say this is like where we are now, and we're truly just getting started, but where we come from, it's been we have a past. And having conversations with you, it helped me have more open and honest conversations, but about everything. I'd say that just in general, my communication was improved. So I thank you for that. And I thank RedDrop for that, because I can only imagine she would have been one of them kids that like, I'm dying. She was going to the bathroom, thought she was dying.
But I really do feel like Mac is, like, if I had one kind of
Poster girl?
data point of like this works, it's her.
Yeah, that's true. It's her.
It's her. Like, from starting from where she started, and she actually walked the journey with us. And she is the reason why I know if you do it right, if you walk it with us, your daughter will be fine.
Mac is definitely like the brand ambassador, like the key it girl for.
She is. She is. She would be
so mad.
She would be mad right now, but she really is. And I would say, I mean, okay, so just to say, she was in school with me. I mean, that is mind blowing. Like, she was actually in school with me, and she didn't even come to me.
That's true.
When she started her cycle, because she was prepared. She had everything she needs. She did what she did. And when Monica called me, was like, hey, and I was like, she didn't call me? She didn't come downstairs? She didn't come to my office? And no, because she was ready and she didn't need me. And I was like, well, damn.
You felt some kind of way.
I did feel a little kind of way, but I was more so like so excited and so proud and just so like, oh my gosh, she really, really is what I dreamed of what this could be.
Yeah. She's a real success story.
She's the success story.
So I want to thank RedDrop, because working on RedDrop has made me aware of the generational cycles. So when we first started and when I first joined, I actually shared the story of my family. And so my mom was pretty distant in my experience, and it didn't hit me until I was on the phone, after I got off the phone with Monica, and I was thinking about my experience. And so my family came to America as Somali refugees in the 90s. And my mother and all of the women in my family went through female genital mutilation. And that happens when a girl has her period. And so that is the coming of age ritual. And so it's tough, but when that happens, girls really don't have ownership of their bodies. And I'd never been Somali. I don't know that side of my mom's story. And so I didn't, I just kind of kept on as I kept on as a kid, and I didn't realize that was the reason why she wasn't able to talk to me or lean in, and where that came from. And in so many ways, that's why this work is important to me, because there's just such a drastic difference between her generation and mine in terms of our family, right? And working with everyone on the team has empowered me and has made me just really aware of how important it is, how we need to be aware of what we carry forward, right? We need to be aware of that, like our experiences shape how we think about this moment. And this moment is so much more than just handing a pad, right? It's more than a pad, like we said. And that's why I truly believe in RedDrop and everything that we're doing. And I think it's so vital because we really are changing generations for girls all over the world. So thank you, truly thank you to the whole RedDrop team. So I would love to, in our last few minutes, if we can, open this up, and does anyone else want to answer or share any of their responses to how they want to make this experience different? If not, that's okay.
I'd love to hear from Trey and Mike.
Yeah, that'd be great. Trey, do you want to go first? Hold on, I'm gonna unmute you. There you go.
Sure, I'm happy to go first. As we think about change, so I have I'm the oldest of four, with the baby being my sister, who just turned 30 a few months ago. And I think what I've learned is, and I think I put it in the chat, the notion that the experience means something. I don't think there's an analog. There's no metaphor. There's nothing that a boy goes through or experiences as he becomes a man. But this is not purely physiological, though. That's the physical marker. Everything happens once the physical piece kicks in. And so knowing that there's an experience, the one thing I would look to is being somewhat of a, if not an overprotective, at least a protective Black father. I wish that I, even as a big brother, could have just been there. I don't know that there was anything I could have said, but it sounds like there's everything that you all said, with product, being there with the right words, being there just to sit, being there, arriving before she does, makes everything right on time. That's what readiness looks like. It's like, we got to get there before our girls get there. And I have a 8-year-old daughter, Aria, who is the head, if you will, of the family. That's definitely more. This happens, this is very likely to affect her in a way that I can't quite anticipate. But knowing that the experience matters, and also knowing, that I whether it be with my sister or with my mom's experience, my wife's experience, they've kind of grown up understanding what it means to be a woman, but also becoming a woman on their own. I want my imprint to be on my daughter, not in a way that's oppressive, not in a way that's really overprotective, but in a way that when she introduces herself to the world, I'm in there. She knows I got her. She knows I'm going to be there, even if it's just to say, I don't understand, but I love you. And I'm going to be here. And here's a RedDrop kit. Dana told me that this was important. Monica told me work. So she can try it out. But I think the change for the experience for me is recognizing the importance of the experience itself. And that not only do I have a place, not only do I have a responsibility, but I have some tools myself to make that experience empowering for her, such that when she walks out and presents herself to the world, I'm there with her. If not physically, she feels me. And the people, and certainly those boys and women, they feel me.
They feel you.
And I don't even mean that in a sexual way, right? Like, I mean that like when you hear the lions roar from miles away.
Yep. So as Monica mentioned, we will definitely get a chance to speak more to the men behind RedDrop, and we're really looking forward to that. In the interest of time, I just want to wrap this up with one last question. Monica, Dana, as you look to the future of RedDrop, what do you see on the horizon? What's next?
I see us being a staple for for girls throughout every transitional journey in their life, even to my 47-year-old self, to my 65-year-old self. Like, what does that mean? Because we don't think about it until we get there, and we want to beat you there. Like Trey said, we want to beat you before you get there. And so that's where I see RedDrop, empowering girls who become empowered women.
Can't say much after that.
All right. Well, let's wrap it there then. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. Thank you for participating in the RedDrop Empower Her sessions. This is only the beginning. We'll continue to have more. But in the meantime, thank you for supporting us, and thank you for your hearts. Thank you for joining our community for girls. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and check out our website, tryreddrop.com. All of the sessions are available on YouTube, and if you sign up for our newsletter on our website, you'll be able to learn more about what we have going on next. Thank you all. Thank you, Monica and Dana.
Thank you, Ayan.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and happy Sunday. Bye.
Bye.